Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Depends on where you're listening around the world today. My name is Joe Ochoa Jr., El Gran Empresario with Fuego Founders, and
Jasenia JS, the CEO. How are you doing this morning? How was the spring break? We're finally back from a little break, right?
yeah, that's exactly right. We have a lot to talk about. We'll talk a little bit about spring break, but more importantly, what we do here, right? Bringing the insights, all that information that our entrepreneurs need to know about that entrepreneurial journey.
That is right. I'm so excited because so far we've had so many great people in the show, and talking about great information, right? And then as well us, right? What we're going through, the raw, how to be balanced in your life as a business owner and a mom, dad, husband, wife, and whenever you have kids as well, right?
Oh, yeah.
How was
That's
your
a lot.
spring break?
Spring break was really, really amazing. I wish I could say it was just so peaceful, right? And I just got to relax. But, being an entrepreneur, whether you like it or not, sometimes you got to be on call, right? Just
Exactly.
like a doctor. So had a great time. But there was a couple mornings there that I got a couple scares. We had some major projects going on. And I got a call from my assistant and said, hey, is this still happening or what? I'm like, what time is it,
Yes.
And but so anyways, you have to be on, right? As an entrepreneur, everybody thinks that, hey, I can just lay back. But the beauty is I'm not up on that roof. I'm not out there, with my hands. It's just a simple call, a text, an
Correct.
email, especially when you have systems and CRMs. It was just easy for me. Hey, look in the system. Everything's there. They had missed a note. But also, too, right, I get to figure out, like, why did that happen?
Right.
How can we make this better for next time? But overall, I had an amazing, amazing time. I went to Ruidoso, New Mexico, up in the Lincoln National Park there. Got a cabin with the family. Did some tubing. Went to the White Sands out by Los
Really?
Cruces.
That's
It was
great.
beautiful, beautiful. And then got to go to the rodeo, too, as well when we came back. So super excited. How about your spring break? How was it?
Honestly, as everybody know, it is tax season, and at SAS, which is also a proud sponsor for this show, is in the middle of the heart of tax season. So we've been busy. My family knows that between January and April, I stay busy, but there's a recompensation at the end. We go on vacation, but we did go to the rodeo because if you're from Houston, you can't miss the rodeo. So that was fun. We ate some turkey legs, and the kids were in the loved the festival and wanted to win some prizes. Even though I feel like those games are made to not win, don't
That's
you think?
exactly right. Of course, then everybody will be winning. But then what happens is when you're walking around, you see somebody with the big old bear. What happens? What do the
Exactly.
kids say? Hey, I want you to win one of those. And there you are, $50 or $100 later, and still don't come out.
That's
with the
exactly
bear.
what happened to me. But yeah, no, that was amazing. So if you're in Houston, or if you're not from Houston, just know that the Houston Rodeo is a must do here during between February and March. It's certain dates that they're here. So definitely, I encourage you to check them out. And I love that at the end of the day is for a good cause,
Yeah.
right? For all the scholarships that they provide for students.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's impactful what the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo and all the committeemen. I'm actually a life member. I've been a life member since I was in
Awesome.
high school in 1995. I do it because it's about giving back scholarship. That's what we do here also too. We give back, right? We provide you with the information, give back. I do want to give you a little nugget that I thought it was neat. Been going to the rodeo since I was a kid. I got to see George Strait at the Astrodome when he first played there, and then
Awesome.
got to see him close that and then open the NRG. But one of the things that I got to see this weekend when I went to the rodeo was this gentleman named Leon Coffey. He's the gentleman that basically kind of fights with the bulls. He's in that little barrel, and he celebrated his 31st year, man. Talk about
Wow.
a commitment to the rodeo. He was still going to be with the rodeo, but no longer in the barrel. And you could just tell how he just got so passionate, and he started tearing up, right? Because they said, hey, it was the last Sunday, last rodeo, but just a commitment, and right, and that's what it takes to be an entrepreneur, is a commitment, right? So just wanted to share that little nugget.
No,
with
that's
you.
amazing, and it is like anything in life. Once you commit, like things are gonna flow through, right? So going back, I wanted to touch base because you did mention earlier about being on vacation, and I was thinking, I'm like, well, as a business owner, even though you go on vacation, do you really disconnect, right? And it's really hard, but at the end is like, for me, I don't disconnect. I'm always having to check my phone, or I make time during the morning before we go and do our activities. Once we are on vacation with the family, is okay. You check your emails, check your messages, because I don't know if you've noticed, but once you have to put off fires, it's usually in the morning, don't you think?
Yeah.
It's like
and sometimes even in the afternoon, like at the end of the day, you're like, like, do I really got to handle this right now?
No, and that's where you have to have things in place, CRM, policies and procedures, the manuals, because if something goes wrong, you at least have a structure of how the team is going to take care of that situation, right?
To handle it?
Yeah, exactly. 100%. And then CRMs, I love CRMs because now you can find out if there's something going on with the client or anything like that, and you can go back and check those notes and documentation. So very important as business owners.
But the CRM is only as good as a user, right? That's one thing we talked. We've had several CRMs in our system. If you don't know what a CRM is, it's a customer relation management system, and that's just basically, think about a file folder, and all that data and all that information goes in there. So any communication, any contracts, agreements, what have you, it goes in there. In our case, we had pictures, et cetera, and so forth. But, one of the things, we were all out. My sister was in Disneyland. My brother was in Florida. I was in New Mexico. And one of the things my sister said, it was just so nice that I could just jump on my CRM, right? Yeah. And just go in there and look at certain things, when I wanted to or when I needed to. But that all started for me when I was in college. I read a book by Stephen Covey that says, start with the end in mind. And there was all this thing of like, where do I want to be at the end of the day? And so as an entrepreneur, sometimes it's hard, but it's like you want to carve out the life you want to live, right? And once you carve out that life you want to live, then you design it that way. So in my case, I would always say, I want an iPad and I want a beach. Right? I want to be able to run my business from anywhere in the world. Right. And so that's where that CRM started, because guess what? Now you can be anywhere. You can review documents, like you said, and it really makes life easier. And all that's stored on the cloud. It's not on a computer. It's stored on the cloud. You have access to it. So
yes, and that's another thing. Like that's the future of the businesses, right? Like just technology. So you got to get with it. So
yeah, it's interesting to see people writing estimates on a piece of paper still to this day. Right. Like, they don't understand. I mean, you have doctors' handwriting, you can't even understand what you wrote. And they're like, really? I'm like, yeah.
No, and that's the new generation too, that they want to change this. I've had so many clients that the parents opened a business and they just started from scratch. They don't even know what an LLC is. And now the kids are coming and they're like, no, Yesenia, I really want to do things right. And they bring their dad, they sit them next to them, and they're like, I just worry about the labor. But now I'm bringing my son as well because we want to do things right, the structure, how to build business credit and all that good stuff. So I love it because that's where that the new generations are like, okay, what's next? Yeah. What can I do to improve my company, the family business, right?
Yeah, it's a legacy. And one thing that I love about what y'all do, Yesenia, is that y'all really hold people's hands through that process. Correct. Because things are changing. I mean, things are changing all the time. Every time I watch you on social media or whatever, it's like, oh, I didn't even think about that, right? Because that's not my wheelhouse. But we have experts like you that can handle that and say, hey, how do you handle the situation? There's something new that's coming around. I know it's been around for a while, but I know there's a big talk of this push of independent contractors versus employees, right, through the
Correct.
IRS. And a lot of businesses, if they don't have their stuff right together, they're going to get hurt.
Correct. And a lot of people open partnerships like DBAs and LLC, and they don't know how to do their taxes at the end of the year. That is very important. For example, if you are a DBA or an LLC and have a partnership, it is important that you do your taxes correctly as a business tax return with your partner on a 1065 form, because that generates a K1 and that flows to your personal. And I always tell clients, business taxes need to be done first prior to personal. And those are things that clients don't know
100%.
and are key, because in the future, they can come and you can have penalties and interest accumulated. And another point that you touch is the subcontractors versus employees. That is what the Texas Workforce Commission, that is very important, because there's 20 points that Texas Workforce Commission sees that if you are considered an employee or a subcontractor, and the business owner can get in trouble if you are having the wrong position, as if you're telling a subcontractor to be at a certain time at their job site and treating them as an employee, that could get you in trouble as well.
Yeah. Supplying, maybe you're supplying equipment to them and
Correct.
all that when they're not. And there's several different even rideshare companies out there too, right? That they're kind of being looked at too, because if that individual is working for that company, and that's more than 90% of what they're doing, that could create. And so anyways, I've been reading and kind of seeing all this stuff, and it's like, oh, get with an expert. That's what I always say, get with an expert. I'm not an expert in that field. Get with an expert, because you don't want to be in a situation where all of a sudden you have to pay a lot of money that you didn't expect.
Same thing with payrolls. A lot of people, they do the 1099s, but do they really submit them to IRS? Or as a W-2, you have to have extra reporting like 940, 941s as well. Those are important as well. A lot of people, they come and they're like, it's because the compadre, the cousin told me that it's just too much. It takes so much money to open a business. And it's because we don't meet these deadlines. And that's when the penalties come in place and you have to pay money and they get discouraged. So that's why it's very important to find a professional that either one has done it already, a mentor, or two, professional like us, that we already have the training in place and that we know how to do it.
Yeah, one of the biggest things I think that happens is that people think that if they forget about it, it's going to go away, and it doesn't.
It gets worse.
It's just worse and worse, and then all of a sudden, I've had somebody recently that I recommended over your way, and he was telling me like, oh, this and that or whatever. I was like, I have no earthly idea what you're doing, but you need to get with an expert, because at the end of the day, if you don't, you're going to pay a lot of money and it's not going to go away.
Correct. And thank you so much for the referral. He did come by the office and we did give him a whole class of what he needed to do. So we definitely, you need to catch up with him and see how he feels about all the information we gave him.
Most definitely. So we're talking about, the entrepreneur journey. My name is Joe Ochoa Jr. here with Fuego Founders. If you're just now tuning in, we bring you insights. We bring you the grit, the raw, what it takes to be an entrepreneur. You, a lot of times, may see people that are business owners, that they're all suit, tie, or what have you, but you really don't know what happens behind the scenes. And those are the secrets we share here.
Correct.
My name is Joe Ochoa Jr., El Gran Empresario, and
Yesenia, just the CEO. And we're excited because also we have sponsors. I want to thank SES Tax and Business Solutions for sponsoring this show.
Yeah, and Joe Ochoa Roofs and even more, and America's Empresarios. Super excited. And obviously if they're looking for...
Exactly. So we have a couple inquiries that business owners want to also become sponsors. We give them a time of the show to do a shout out for them, tell you guys about what the business is about, and then definitely reach out to us if you are wanting to be a sponsor.
Yeah, most definitely. Super excited. So what else is going on in your life right now? Because I know it's pretty crazy, right?
It is pretty
with
crazy.
The kids and their sports, and then the business, because you're in the heart of tax season. So
exactly. So I am like in the moment of how do you balance things, right? Like you called me yesterday, it's, tax deadlines, my kid's birthday, having to do a presentation and all that prepping, right? And it's all about being organized. I feel like before I didn't used to use a planner as much as like an agenda. You know, agendas are very a key point. If you are starting your business, please get an agenda, because if not, you're going to double book yourself, and then you're going to be not showing to one place or another. Honestly, for me, agendas are a big thing. Like I already know that I have to go do a field trip with my son tomorrow, so as well.
Well, not only that, you have your business agenda, but you have your life agenda.
Correct.
And that's what we're talking about today, is that balance of your work life. Because why do we work, and why do we do, and why do we grow businesses, is really to be able to provide for our family.
Correct.
Right? So we got to be present in all those moments.
Yes, and honestly, communication too with your family. Like it's a key with your family, with your team. I'm gonna be honest. For me, it's been one of those points that I'm working. That I'm not perfect. Communication has been one of my focus this year, and so far I think I'm doing good. It's just that either you think you reply back to the message, or you're getting back to that email. And also communication in all aspects, as with your family. Hey, this week I have a full schedule. Please don't expect me until this time, because if not, expectation kills the dream, right?
Yeah.
Just,
well, and what happens is, like, one of the things, like for myself, is that I adapt to change very quick, because my day rapidly is changing all the time. And so, like, this Thursday I was supposed to go and see my son at College Station or what have you. I told my wife, sorry, I can't go. These are the things that are happening. And especially for us, we just had a big storm that hit in our backyard, so we're trying to meet different insurance companies. I had to be there with my team. We just added people, and so it changes. But I use a Google Calendar for everything. I'm the CEO of our businesses. My wife's the CEO of our household. She's the one that, anything that has to come with the baseball sports or whatever, like tonight, she's like, hey, don't forget, it's on your calendar. You have 2 baseball practices, because my youngest plays on 2. He plays at the league and then select ball. So we go from one to another. Last night was picking up my daughter from softball. So there's this balance that you're trying to do, and it gets exhausting.
And then you're trying to eat dinner, and you're trying to be healthy. You're trying to work out. That's what I was telling my brother the other day, because I was like, okay, I'm going to go to the gym like after in the evening. And then he's like, but this client, and then there was the call. And then I'm just like, oh my God, I'm trying to drink water, work out, be a CEO, be a mom, be like, everything has like falling into it, but it's just a mental thing. Like you have to control it. And that's when I know I have learned to control my thoughts, and then also like put a limit on things, like, hey, like this is my time. I have to go work out,
You have to guard your time, right?
Yes.
And because there's a lot of time burglars out there, I heard that term maybe about 8 or 9 years ago, and I never thought about that, right?
Yes.
People invite you all the time, like, hey, let's go meet for lunch, or hey, let's go here and let's go there. And one of the things that I realized at that time, at first, it's like, oh, it's cool. You go here, you're trying different things. The problem is that people are stealing your time, and when they steal your time, you're not able to connect with the people that you really need to be connecting with. So one of the things that I do when somebody invites me to eat, like today, I have a lunch with 2 people. One of them happens to be one of my competitors, and one of them is one of my buddies that, from college. So I'm meeting with them, but I hadn't seen them in a while. I haven't hung out with them in a while, but we'll talk about some business. We'll, talk about some, family stuff or what have you, and then go from there. But guard your time. And that's one of the secrets as an entrepreneur. It's like, don't just give your time to anybody.
And that was my mistake that I did 2 years ago. Like I was just going out like to lunches and dinners and networking events, and I was just everywhere. And then I'm like, okay, am I getting any work done? Right. So I have learned that too. And this year I've been really strict with my time, and my team can tell you, like, it's, I have, goals to meet and deadlines and everything. We want to make sure that everything's taken care of.
I'm going to tell you something that you don't even know about this. When we're talking about time, I got basically a calendar. It's called Hours of My Life, right? And it's a calendar that you basically start shading in all the years of your life. It starts with days, weeks, and what have you. And it goes from 0 to 100. And it sits in my office. And every week I shade off, right? When you look at that, that changed my entire life.
And it's by colors, right? Like you put like your
You
work.
can do it in colors, but mine is just strictly, it's black and white. It's
Okay,
very
okay.
simple. And so every week, right, 52 weeks in a year, you shade off. When you start seeing, this Friday, this is my birthday. I'm going to be 48 years old. If you look at that calendar, right, the years of my life, the weeks of my life, it goes from 0 to 100. God, if I had lived to 100, I'm halfway my life. When you start looking at your life differently and how much time you really have here, and that
Correct.
we're here for a God-given purpose, and if we don't utilize that time correctly, man, you start thinking about things differently, and you guard your time even more.
Yep.
So,
It is.
that changed my life. It is, I will say it's a little scary because you're like, it's like watching that little sand in the hourglass and you're like, wow, time is just going. Look at your kids.
Exactly.
You look at your kids, you're like, wow, another year has passed. Look how big he is, or look how big she is.
Yes. No, and then you start thinking like Alexander turned 12 yesterday, and I'm like, what was I doing at 12? I think I was like in middle school, and then the World Trade Center situation happened at that time.
Wow.
I was just like, and you start thinking like how much you've lived and what you've gone through, and what
I
life
forget-
has for us.
Yeah, exactly. I forget how much younger you are than me when you said that, because you have so much wisdom, right? Like at a very young age, you have so much wisdom.
Thank
or
you.
what have you. Yeah, so-
It's all about because hanging with the right people
Yep.
and picking their brain, and also just you adapt that that change, and then it's also how much more do you want to learn, like how bad do you want it, because
Correct.
like they said, if you are hanging out with 5 friends and they're all alcoholics, you're probably going to be the next alcoholic
most
too.
definitely.
Yeah.
You are basically the average of who you hang around with, right?
Yes.
What is that saying in Spanish? Dime con quién te
Y
juntas.
te diré quién eres.
That's exactly
Yeah,
right.
exactamente.
And, you're talking about, education and who you're hanging around with or what have you. I mean, we have an upcoming guest that's big into the education. She's doing big
Yes.
things, right?
That's amazing. Yeah, like I love this person because not only did we connect through social media, we became friends through Instagram first. But I'll let her tell you a little bit how we met. But she is very big in education, and I know how hard this person works to be where she's at, and also the difference that she's making in young people's life. Like that just it amazes me. So
It's
yes,
really amazing. I think what happens is we forget that there's some people out there that may not be college material, may not be university, and they get
Exactly.
swept under the rug. And what she has done is really
Change the game. Yep.
Yeah, she's changing the game. So we're super excited, obviously, to what she's going to be doing and what she's going to talk about. And we'll keep the name a secret and all that because we want you to tune in. And if you're just now tuning in, Fuego Founders here. My name is Joe Ochoa Jr. I'm El Gran Empresario.
and Jasenia, just the CEO. So make sure you don't miss our next episode.
Yeah, most definitely.